Greetings. I am Mrs. Bostic, your proud principal. Welcome to Books with Bostic. We are going to be reading a lot of books together and talking to a lot of illustrators together as well, or authors and illustrators together. So join me. Our first guest is named Alex Grady. Alex Grady wrote a book called Barry's Best, and I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. We also have the illustrator, Josua Suber. All right, so let's get into the interview. All right, Alex, what advice would you give to a South Salem student that is a budding author or illustrator?
What advice would I give a South Salem Elementary School student who is a budding author? I remember in college, I had a team of incredible individuals while I was running track, and we had an awesome coach. But we had this mantra of why not? Why not go out and do your very best? Why not give it everything that you have, whatever that may be? Why not just try? And I would say that to every budding author, every budding illustrator, any budding engineer, why not? Go out and try. Don't worry about what other people have to say. Know that you're doing this for yourself. Know that you're growing yourself, and know that you have so much value to add to the people around you, to the society, and more importantly, to yourself. So don't hold that idea in your head. Get it on paper. Write it out. Do it. Why not?
I have two pieces of advice for young aspiring artists and illustrators. My first piece of advice is to get comfortable with making mistakes. You don't need to be perfect with your art, especially when you're starting. Seeking perfection stops so many people from starting new things that they could be really good at. So get used to making mistakes. The more mistakes that you make in your art, the closer you get to discovering what you like and what you dislike. True growth begins when you're able to see what you need to work on. And you can only do that by witnessing the mistakes you make. And you might also see that you might like some of the happy accidents. Art and life is funny that way. And that leads to my second piece of advice, which is to start now. You are already an artist. You don't need me or anyone else to give you permission. You are in the perfect place to draw all the things you like and enjoy. So do it. And then when you get a little older, you make the decision that you want to be a storyteller or illustrator, you will be ready. You won't need to prove it to anyone because you've already started. I've come to really like the phrase luck favors the prepared. Just like any skill, you just need to nurture your talent. So get started.
All right, thank you. Our next question. Why did you write this book?
So why did I write the book? And my mom actually had recommended it the summer of 2020. I had a little bit of free time. I was blogging a lot. And out of the blue, she just said, I think you could write a kid's book. And I looked at her kind of funny. But then I kind of sat on that idea. I sat on the notion. I thought of the incredible things that she had taught me over the years. And by the end of that day, I had a full game plan with the book and everything that I really believed would resonate with a lot of people. So the inspiration really comes from my mom, but the impact level, I'm truly trying to hit as many kids as possible with a message around adversity, around doing your best and knowing that your best can look very different on a day-to-day basis. But as long as you are doing everything you can with everything you have, that's all you can do.
All right, boys and girls, it's time to sit back and relax and listen to Alex read his book to us. Thank you for joining me for A Book with Bostic.
Barry's Best, written by Alex Grady, myself, and illustrated by Josua Suber. And this book is dedicated to my mother, an incredible educator, sister, wife, and mother. Miss Grady, if you're listening, we absolutely love you. Barry's Best, written by Alex Grady, illustrated by Josua Suber. The surroundings were quiet and many asleep, But one light source was on in a house right off the street. Eyes wide open, Barry sat with flashcards galore. The table was filled to the brim with books. Papers covered the floor. "Barry," his mom shouted, "it is well past your bedtime." "I have to go over things once more," Barry said. "I'm in my prime." "Oh, Barry, you know I love you. But in order to do your best, you have to get a good night's sleep. You have done the work. Now rest." "You got it, Mom." Barry jumped out of the kitchen chair. He packed his flashcards for his test tomorrow and zipped through the air. He jumped out of his clothes and hopped into bed, and as his head hit the pillow, he thought, tomorrow will be my best day yet. Barry woke up and stretched his arms wide, and with a little bit of shock, he saw that it was bright outside. He had overslept. He forgot to set an alarm. He ran to his window and saw that his mom's car was gone. He packed his book bag. As the bus had arrived, he ran out the door while colored pencils and papers started to fly. Barry yelled, "Please wait!" but the bus was long gone. Then an idea came to mind. He ran back and put his helmet on. He opened the garage door and adjusted his stance. He took a deep breath, then proceeded to bike the school's distance. He had no time to lock his bike, so he hid it in a bush. Barry ran up the stairs and through the hallway in a rush. He got closer, caught his breath, and dusted off his shirt. He busted open the door to find the class hard at work. "Barry, you're late," the teacher softly chimed. "I am so sorry," Barry said. "I lost track of time." Barry then rushed to take his seat in the back row. He thought, "I will just have to make sure I show everything that I know." With attention to detail, he started tackling the test. He blazed through the problems he knew. Then he had to think about the rest. "Time's up," the teacher called. Barry wanted to fuss. He dropped his head and slowly put his pencil down in disgust. Barry sat as everyone else left the class. The teacher walked up to his desk. "I never meant to be so brash. I can't treat you differently. There are rules we can't break. I know that you didn't mean to be late, but just be careful of mistakes." "I understand," Barry stated. He then walked out of the place. He gave 1 minute to be angry, then slapped a smile on his face. "My project is due tomorrow, and it is nearly finished. One test does not represent me. My character, it doesn't diminish." He went to the rest of his classes and finished the day out. Then he made his way to the bush as he thought of the quickest route. As he moved the bush, he found the bike was gone. "That's funny. Someone must have mistaken it for their own." He thought long and hard as the buses left the lot. Walking home would be the perfect time to collect his thoughts. He opened the door at home to find no one there. He ran and got his art supplies out of his desk with care. Hours soon passed as day turned to night. Mom slowly opened the door to find quite an awful sight. There was glue on the chair and glitter on the ceiling. Every color pencil was worn, paper cut, and paint peeling. "Barry," Mom said. She was quite enraged. "All finished," Barry stated, and as he moved, she was amazed. "Oh, Barry, that is probably your best rendition. This depiction of our history is in the most pristine condition." "Thanks, Mom," Barry said. "I will make sure to clean up the mess." "Don't worry, I will get it, Barry. Just go and get some rest." Barry went over to his mom and gave her a big hug. Then he got his things together and slipped into his bed, so snug. The next morning, 7 alarms rang all together. Already dressed, Barry could not wait to see the reaction from his peers. He got his things and ran to where the driveway starts. He was there extra early to make sure he was on the bus before it departs. Barry kept smiling as he felt a drop on his nose, and one after another, it started to pour as the bus began to show. The project started to fall apart as glue came undone with rain. No one was ever going to believe that his entire project went down the drain. The bus came to a stop, and the driver opened the door. Barry got a seat and dropped what was left of his project on the floor. As the bus arrived at the steps, the rain started to dim. Barry walked off the bus to find the sun staring right at him. He shook his head in disdain as he held the scraps low. He spent so much time on his project and had very little to show. His peers presented one by one. He did not say a word. Then his eyes lit up, and he began to scribble on the back of his board. He just finished up as the teacher called, "Barry, you're next." He collected himself and moved in front of them all. "Where is your project?" The teacher was confused. "Well, I am," Barry said. The rest of the class was fairly amused. "Barry, I'm not sure if," the teacher started to implore. Barry yelled, "This is Brown versus Board of Education, and it's 1954. With passion and grace, Barry told the story of race. He motioned, pointed, stomped, and paced all over the place. He spoke of injustice within our own nation. By the end of the speech, there was a standing ovation." "That was spectacular, Barry." The teacher hesitated. "But I can't give full credit based on the rubric." Barry was devastated. "Okay, class," the teacher hushed them before they would go. "Please don't forget to finish your homework due tomorrow." Barry caught the bus and made it back home. He threw himself at the kitchen table and got in the zone. He looked at the problems and barely had to think. He was so bold with his homework that he wrote in blue ink. He finished early and decided to celebrate. He made his signature PB&J, but forgot to use the plate. With a flick of the wrist and missing the bread, he spilled peanut butter and jelly all over his paper instead. Barry panicked and started to clean what he could. The blue ink started to smear. He stopped. His writing looked good. He left the paper out to dry. His sandwich he consumed. By the time his mom made it home, he was sound asleep in his room. Another set of alarms shook Barry awake. He packed his rain jacket, umbrella, and put on his rain boots just in case. As he opened the door to check the forecast, he almost left the house without his homework. He picked it up real fast. He walked out the door and down the driveway. He made it to the bus stop with no problem, nice and early. But with a rustle in the bushes, a blur jumped up, and with a jerk, before Barry could do anything, a dog had taken a hold of his work. Barry fought and he screamed, but the damage was done. As the bus pulled up, the dog ran with peanut butter on its tongue. Barry was beside himself. What was he going to say? Was he really going to have to use the dog ate my homework cliché? In his head was his mom. The truth will always win. And as he explained himself in class, the teacher gave him detention. Barry, that is enough. I've had it up to here with your antics. Once the bell rings, you will stay after. You will learn a lesson in semantics. The bell soon rang, and Barry found himself at the whiteboard. I will not tell a fib to my teacher, and I will not exaggerate on any accord. He walked back home, dazed and confused. He thought he had done his very best, but he continued to lose. As he made it back home, there was a big surprise. His mom was home early from work and made his favorite French fries. Congratulations, she said, on a job well done. But Barry looked at the floor. The mother walked over to her son. What happened? She asked. He didn't want her to worry, but he collected his thoughts and then proceeded to tell the whole story. I overslept my alarm. I missed my ride to school. I was late for a test and had my bike stolen by someone so cruel. My social studies project was ruined because of rain. I did not get full credit, even though I reenacted the whole thing. A dog ate my homework that I knocked out of the park. I was given detention in school, and for some reason, the truth hurts. No matter what I do, I cannot seem to win. Life is not fair. It's like the world will fight me until the end. Barry looked away, and his eyes started to glisten. His mom pulled him in for a hug. Barry, come here and listen. You were truly upset. It is now clear to me that the thing that keeps finding you is called adversity. Adversity? Barry was puzzled as he wiped his tears. That's correct, his mom said, but I promise it is nothing to fear. Barry, sometimes life will not go your way. There will be people who doubt you and things hard to face. There will be moments where you feel like giving in. You are going to be knocked down, and it will be hard to stay standing. This is adversity in its simplest form. If you compare it to weather, it could be an unpredictable storm. But when adversity comes and it's your turn, there is always a chance to grow from every lesson you learn. Adversity builds resilience, humility, and truth. It gives you an opportunity to be the best version of you. Laugh at your mistakes, stay strong, and be bold, regardless of what happens. Focus on what you can control. Remember, you were made for a time such as this. Promise me you will continue to give your very best. I promise, Mom, Barry said. His mind was set. He had a feeling that tomorrow was going to be the best day yet. And that's Barry's best.